Chapter 11, Part 4 Surrender Before the Infinite, Scenes 1135 to 1145. Introduction When All Becomes Surrender.
Scene. The battlefield of Kurukshetra is now unrecognizable not because the earth has changed, but because Arjuna's vision has. His eyes, blessed with divine sight, have witnessed the unimaginable, every god, every creature, every atom of existence alive within Krishna's infinite form. He has seen creation, sustenance, and destruction flowing simultaneously like waves of eternal energy. But now, the emotional storm hits. The awe that lifted him toward divinity becomes too vast for the human heart to hold. Arjuna trembles. His voice falters. The warrior who once stood tall now bows low. The prince becomes a child again before the face of the infinite.
Then the heavenly witnesses are still there, Sanjaya narrating to Dhritarashtra, the gods trembling in reverence, but all fades into the background of one truth, Arjuna's total surrender. This is not the submission of weakness, but the dissolving of ego before the reality of what is. Until now, Arjuna had wrestled with Krishna intellectually. He had asked questions, debated, even doubted, but now questions vanish. The intellect kneels before experience. Arjuna no longer wants explanation, he wants forgiveness. He no longer wants to understand God, he wants to belong to Him. This is the culmination of every spiritual path. After knowledge comes silence, after effort comes surrender. The soul, seeing the infinite, realizes that it was never separate, never in control. All along it was God acting through every heartbeat and thought.
Now, for us, this chapter is deeply symbolic. There comes a time in every life when understanding collapses, when the mind cannot explain, when life's vastness overwhelms logic. These moments may come through beauty, loss, love, or death, when we realize how little we truly control. That is not despair, it's doorway. When the ego finally bows, peace enters. Surrender is not escape, it's alignment. It is saying, I cannot grasp you, but I trust you.
Krishna's cosmic revelation is not meant to frighten humanity, it's meant to free it. Arjuna's trembling is not fear of punishment, it's the awe of seeing truth without distortion. This section is the birth of devotion, bhakti born from realization. Arjuna's surrender will soon lead him back to balance, clarity, and readiness to act. But first, he must simply bow. Focus. When life shows you how vast it truly is, do not shrink, bow. Surrender is not the end of control, it's the beginning of peace. Scene 1135. Even the gods are stunned.
Scene. Hearing Krishna's words, Arjuna trembled. With joined palms and bowed head, he spoke to the Lord in a faltering voice, overwhelmed with awe and fear.
Then the battlefield fades, only the echo of Krishna's declaration remains, I am time, the destroyer of worlds. The gods themselves stand in stunned silence. Even Sanjaya, the divine narrator, falls quiet. The air trembles with divine presence. Arjuna can barely speak. Every nerve in his body feels the magnitude of what he has seen. His heart pounds, not from terror of death, but from the weight of realization he has seen eternity face to face. The mortal mind cracks open before infinity.
Now, this verse represents that sacred breaking point all seekers face when the intellect finally gives up trying to contain truth. We live much of life trying to manage, analyze, explain. But when real awareness dawns through meditation, through crisis, through love, the ego simply cannot stand. It trembles, not in weakness, but in surrender. Modern spirituality often glorifies control, manifest your destiny, shape your reality. Krishna's revelation teaches the opposite. Truth shapes you. The soul's wisdom begins when the ego's commentary ends.
Focus or silence is the ego. When you tremble before truth, you are finally seeing clearly. Scene 1136. The world rejoices and trembles.
Scene. Arjuna said, Rightly, O Krishna, the world rejoices and delights in praising you. The fearful demons flee in all directions, and all the hosts of perfected beings bow before you.
Then Arjuna's fear transforms into reverence. He recognizes that the universe responds to Krishna in two ways: the righteous rejoice, the arrogant tremble. Those aligned with Dharma feel liberation, those clinging to ego feel annihilation. He sees now that joy and fear are not opposites, but responses to consciousness. The same light that awakens the pure blinds the proud. Creation itself is a symphony of praise, every element singing Krishna through its very existence.
Now, this verse translates perfectly to modern life. The enlightened see challenges as opportunities, while the unready see them as threats. Light does not choose sides, it simply reveals. When we live in alignment with truth, we rejoice in clarity. When we resist it, fear follows. Arjuna's insight shows the real meaning of faith, not blind acceptance, but harmony with divine rhythm. The world doesn't revolve around us, it revolves within divinity.
Focus. The awakened rejoice where the ego trembles. The same truth liberates or terrifies depending on how open your heart is. Scene 1137. You are the source of all.
Scene. O great Lord, why should they not bow before you? You are the primal creator, the infinite refuge of the universe, the imperishable, the being and the non-being, and that which is beyond both. Then, Arjuna's words now flow like worship. He sees Krishna not as a personal deity, but as the absolute, the source and substance of everything. God is no longer an external being to petition, but the totality itself. The terms creator, preserver, and destroyer lose their separate meanings. All are facets of the same eternal consciousness. Arjuna's realization expands beyond religion into pure truth. Krishna is not only existence, but also the transcendence beyond it, the space where opposites dissolve.
Now, this insight is timeless. We too often limit divinity to roles a helper, a protector, a judge, but true spirituality expands that view. The divine is not someone out there, but the reality underlying everything, the seen, the unseen, and the beyond. Recognizing this truth dissolves dependence and deepens trust. Life stops being about getting what I want and becomes participating in what is. Focus. God is not part of the world is part of God. When you see this, worship becomes awareness. Scene 1138, the ancient and the all-knowing.
Scene. You are the primal God, the ancient person. You are the supreme refuge of this universe. You know everything, and you are all that is knowable.
Then Arjuna now praises Krishna as both the beginningless and the knowing, the eternal consciousness that sees all. He realizes that divine knowledge is not information but omnipresence. Krishna knows everything because everything is within him. In that realization, Arjuna's fear begins to shift into devotion. He is no longer terrified by vastness. He is comforted by belonging. The infinite is not foreign, it is home.
Now, this verse reveals a profound spiritual truth for modern seekers. Knowledge without wisdom separates. Awareness unites. When you recognize consciousness as your true nature, life stops feeling random. Everything that happens within divine intelligence. The ultimate knower is not your mind, but the awareness behind it, the spark of Krishna within every being.
Focus. To know God is to realize that you are known by God. Trust that the infinite intelligence that sustains galaxies also guides your steps. Scene 11.39. Salutations from every direction. Scene. Salutations to you from the front and the back, from every side, O infinite in power and form. You pervade everything, therefore you are all. Then Arjuna bows completely, not once, but infinitely. Every direction is sacred because every direction holds Krishna. There is no other side of God. Front, back, above, below, all are within the divine expanse. This verse captures the essence of surrender. The ego kneels in all directions because there is nowhere God is not. The concept of I and you dissolves into pure reverence.
Now, for us, this teaches omnipresence not as theology, but as perception. God is not an idea to believe in, but a presence to awaken to in every person, every breath, every situation. True surrender is not to kneel once, but to live in a posture of inward bowing. When humility replaces judgment, every moment becomes a form of worship.
Focus. The sacred is everywhere. The more you bow within, the more the universe bows back in peace. Scene 1140, the infinite beyond measure.
Scene. You are everything: air, fire, water, moon, and creator. You are the supreme beyond comprehension. Salutations 1,000 times, and again and yet again from every direction.
Then Arjuna's praise reaches poetic ecstasy. Words overflow. Every element becomes a name of God. The elements themselves, air, water, light, fire, are no longer things, but expressions of divinity. The world has become scripture, and Arjuna's voice becomes prayer. His surrender is complete. There is no longer fear, only reverent joy. He sees that even destruction was divine mercy, burning illusion to reveal truth. His repetition of salutations reflects the endless gratitude that fills an awakened heart.
Now, this is the moment when devotion transcends ritual. Worship is no longer what you do, but how you see. When every breath feels sacred, every act becomes offering. The divine is not distant, it breathes through you. This verse is an invitation to reimagine spirituality, not confined to temples or texts, but alive in elements, in others, in yourself. When awareness becomes constant gratitude, life itself becomes prayer.
Focus. Everything you see is sacred expression. Live as if every breath were a bow to the infinite because it is. Scene 1141. Forgive me, my friend.
Scene. Whatever I have said rashly from carelessness or love, addressing you as O Krishna, O Yadava, or O my friend, thinking of you as my companion, forgive me, O immeasurable one.
Then the grand cosmic vision dissolves into human intimacy. Arjuna's knees bend, his head lowers, and his voice trembles not with fear but with love. The realization strikes him with humility. The person he once joked with, trusted, and teased his charioteer and friend is none other than the Supreme Lord himself. He recalls moments of familiarity, laughter during rest, conversations during war, times he spoke casually or without awareness of Krishna's divinity. Each memory now stings with awe. He bows deeply and asks forgiveness, not out of guilt but reverence.
Now, this verse mirrors a universal awakening. When we truly see someone's divinity, whether God, parent, teacher, or even life itself, we realize how casually we have treated the sacred. Every relationship is divine meeting us in disguise. Recognition often comes after years of blindness. This humility is not shame, but awakening love, the kind that sees how grace was present all along, even when we didn't notice.
Focus. Reverence begins where familiarity ends. See the divine in those you take for granted, for they may be God in gentle disguise. Scene 1142. Forgive my ignorance.
Scene. In jest, while resting, sitting, eating, or in company, if I treated you as an equal or spoke thoughtlessly, I beg your forgiveness, O Infinite One.
Then Arjuna's humility deepens. His memories unfold like gentle wounds, all those moments when he had spoken casually, laughed freely, or questioned Krishna as if he were merely human. Now every simple act becomes sacred in hindsight. He realizes the depth of his ignorance. Even in daily moments, meals shared, plans made, he was sitting beside the Lord of all existence. The playfulness of friendship now turns to devotion, and the familiarity of companionship transforms into sacred awe.
Now, we experience similar awakenings in life when we look back and realize how grace had walked beside us as a loved one's support, a mentor's patience, or even life's challenges that shaped us. The divine rarely announces itself. It hides in the ordinary until awareness matures. This verse teaches that spirituality is not about guilt for ignorance, but gratitude for awakening. Recognition itself redeems the past.
Focus. Gratitude heals ignorance. When you realize the sacredness of what was ordinary, every past mistake becomes a prayer of love. Scene 1143. None equal to you.
Scene. You are the Father of all beings, the greatest of the great. There is none equal to you in the three worlds. How then could there be anyone greater?
Then Arjuna's heart now overflows with devotion. The fear has vanished, replaced by awe and adoration. He proclaims Krishna as the Father of all beings, not merely a creator, but the eternal caretaker, the source of both law and love. For Arjuna, this realization brings peace. To know that nothing is higher than Krishna means there is no chaos outside his will. The universe suddenly feels ordered, benevolent, purposeful. The heart that trembled now trusts.
Now, this verse carries profound relevance today. We live in a world fragmented by hierarchies, power, wealth, fame. Arjuna's insight cuts through illusion. No one stands above another, because all arise from the same source. Seeing the divine as the one Father unites humanity in sacred equality. When you recognize that God is the highest, envy fades, comparison dissolves, and peace dawns.
Focus. True devotion is equality. When you see all beings as children of one source, reverence replaces rivalry. Scene 1144. Forgiveness of the infinite.
Scene. Therefore, bowing to you, prostrating my body, I beg your mercy. Bear with me as a father with a son, a friend with a friend, or a lover with a beloved.
Then Arjuna surrenders completely. His tone is no longer the trembling of fear, but the softness of a heart laid bare. He calls upon the gentlest forms of divine love, father, friend, beloved, recognizing that even the infinite power he just witnessed is rooted in compassion. He doesn't ask Krishna to withdraw the cosmic form, but to forgive the smallness of his human perception. His tears are not of regret, but of reunion, the human and divine embrace, once more no longer in hierarchy, but in love.
Now, for us, this verse is the very essence of spiritual intimacy. The divine is not distant majesty alone, but personal tenderness. After awe must come closeness. After surrender, relationship. To live in devotion is to walk hand in hand with the infinite, reverent yet loved, humbled yet held. When we realize that God forgives faster than we awaken, faith becomes friendship again.
Focus. Surrender doesn't end relationship, it deepens it. Love is where awe rests and God smiles. Scene 11:45. Let me see you as before.
Seen. Having seen what has never been seen before, I am overjoyed, yet my heart trembles with fear. Show me your gentle form again, O Lord, have mercy.
Then the human returns. Arjuna, still shaken by the vision's immensity, confesses both wonder and exhaustion. The cosmic sight was too vast for human heart to bear. He bows again and pleads gently, "Let me see you as my Krishna once more with crown, conch, and smile." This moment completes the circle. The infinite revealed itself not to crush, but to cleanse. Now that Arjuna's ego has dissolved, he longs not for spectacle, but for presence, the quiet, approachable, loving form of God.
Now, this verse mirrors our own spiritual cycles. After grand awakenings or intense transformations, we too seek balance. The purpose of revelation is not to escape the human, but to sanctify it. Once the storm of awe passes, we return to life calmer, clearer, and more compassionate. Krishna's divine purpose was never to overwhelm, but to awaken, to turn Arjuna's fear into faith and his confusion into calm readiness.
Focus. The infinite humbles, then heals. After the storm of realization comes the peace of relationship, the heart resting again in divine friendship. Closing summary, the peace of surrender.
Scene. The battlefield is silent once more. The blazing vision has subsided. The infinite has contracted back into the form of Krishna serene, smiling, holding his conch and discus. Arjuna, still trembling, bows deeply, not in fear now, but in peace.
Then, Arjuna's journey in this chapter mirrors the journey of every soul. He began with faith-seeking proof, was given sight beyond measure, trembled before the cosmic whole, and finally bowed in love. The terrifying grandeur of the Vishwarupa gave birth to humility, and humility blossomed into surrender. Through scenes 1141 to 1145, Arjuna confesses his familiarity, 1141, repents for ignorance, 1142, praises Krishna as the father of all, 1143, seeks forgiveness with childlike love, 1144, and finally asks to see the gentle form again, 1145. This sequence represents the full transformation of the ego from questioning mind to surrendered heart.
Now, this is the core of human spirituality. The ego wants to control, prove, and understand. The soul wants to experience, belong, and surrender. When the vastness of life overwhelms us through loss, change, or revelation, the ego shatters, but the soul awakens.
Arjuna's trembling is not weakness, it is wisdom. True peace is not found in power or control, but in surrender. The infinite is not conquered, it is trusted. And once we bow completely, the same God who appeared as thunder returns as tenderness.
This is how Krishna teaches not through dogma, but through experience, awe, collapse, and peace. Arjuna's surrender marks the birth of bhakti devotion that comes not from ignorance, but from understanding. When we surrender before the infinite, we stop seeking miracles outside and start recognizing them within. Life itself becomes divine dialogue, gentle, endless, sacred.
Focus. Surrender is not the end of the journey, but its fulfillment. When the ego bows, the heart rises, and God, once infinite and distant, becomes personal and near.